Hello, my little buzzlings, and welcome to The Tea with B, a podcast where we discuss absolutely anything on your mind. There is no topics off limits. When you're ready to spill the tea, you can reach us on Instagram and Twitter at The Tea with B, or email us at theteawithbpodcast@gmail.com. On today's episode, we are talking about mindset and the importance of it for really where your whole life is going to go. No, I'm not going to talk about positive thinking and optimism, while I do think that's very important. When I'm talking about mindset, I am specifically talking about a book by Dr. Carol Dweck. I finished reading it a little while ago, and I'm actually reading it again because I loved it so much. And in that book, she discusses two different kinds of mindset: a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. And the difference being between the two of them is how they approach challenges. Someone with a fixed mindset is a lot less likely to do something a little bit more difficult or different because they're afraid that they're going to fail, while someone with a growth mindset has a bit of that childlike wonder when they approach all of life. And when they try something new, they just want to learn from it. And I think that's really how we should be. And that's why I think this book is so important. Because no matter who you are, no matter where you are, one of these two mindsets will apply to you in how you go about the world and how you react to failure. Now, that word has a definite sting to it in society. And that is why I love this book. While I do think everyone should read it, it's more about having an honest conversation about failure in our day-to-day lives. The author of this book initially went out to actually study failure when she found out about these two different mindsets, but she brought out so many wonderful examples of how failure is never failure unless you actually look at it that way. And the thing about that fixed mindset is people with a fixed mindset think that if they don't succeed right off the bat, they're failures. They think that if they put effort into it and they have to work at becoming better at something, if they don't have those natural abilities, they're out. And that is not a good way to go about things. Don't we all want to have that childlike wonder and not put our ego on top to receive that title of, oh, they're so smart, everything comes natural to them? Let's be open about that. Yeah, sometimes success takes, actually not even sometimes, success takes a hell lot of work, and we should not frown upon doing the work in order to become successful. This book also talked about how the mindset can influence your personal life, and that's where it really resonated with me, because while I do think I have a growth mindset when it comes to a lot of aspects of life, in terms of career, in terms of education, in terms of traveling, all of that, I had a very fixed mindset when it came to my personal life that I never even knew until I read this. Whenever I was in my career and in the business world, I took criticism and implemented it to become better. While in my personal life, I couldn't even take criticism. Everyone always told me, and I mean emphasis, I took things too personally. And I can absolutely see how I used to be like that, with that fixed mindset. This is any kind of personal relationship, whether it's dating or family or friendships. I took things so to heart, and now I realize that people have their own lives and their own shit going on. Like, don't take things so personally, and it's much easier said than done. But follow me on this journey as I try to be more open-minded when it comes to not taking things so close to my heart. So I'll keep you posted when it comes to that. That was really my biggest takeaway, is just being a lot more open when it comes to really anything you have going on in life. You know, a trend that I've noticed, and tell me if y'all feel the same way, is I feel like Gen Z has kind of become the butt of the joke now. It used to be millennials and now it's Gen Z. I think it's hilarious that what is being attacked about them is their transparency and their authenticity. When people make jokes about someone who's a Gen Z, they say, oh, well, they're just so open about their weirdness or what their interests are, or just not following the regular path in life, and people make fun of that. And I think that's kind of ridiculous because amazingly, finally, as a society, we're being a lot more open about mental health and about, sexuality and all those important topics. But why aren't we being more open about just the failures that you can have in life in order to get to that position that you want to be in? In the spirit of being honest and truthful myself, while I have wanted to do this for years and years, and I did used to be an on-air anchor, and I love this kind of whole realm of media and audio and talking to people, absolutely love all that. I also have and used to have absolutely crippling anxiety when it came to actually talking in front of the mic. And I'm sure a lot of you have felt that where, I would read a script and would stutter and forget to pronounce words. And English is not my first language in general, but I would just stutter over and over again because I couldn't get over that mental hurdle than anything else. Everyone kept telling me, well, you just gotta relax and you just gotta say the story because when you're not focused on being on air, you're fantastic. And that would just stick in my head and I would replay it and it would just, honestly, that loop would just kind of drive me insane. But I loved being a reporter. So I continued to work at it and I continued to do it over and over. I remember sometimes being in the newsroom for, 10, 12 hours, 15 hours a day because I wanted to make sure that I still produced something that was good and worthy of being on air, and I just really loved what I did. I think there was probably times where I would re-record a story like 90 times and I wanted to cry and probably did sometimes when nobody was looking, but I continued to do it. And that is what this book is about, is don't get defeated by something if it doesn't come to you right off the bat. Even with this, another piece of honesty, maybe I'm being a little too honest now, I have probably redone the first episode of this podcast a million times. And I have re-recorded and listened to myself and said, oh man, fill in the blanks for how my mind can overthink. And trust me, can overthink a lot. Even though it can take me 100 takes to get something that I really like the sound of, I still do it because I just find it really fun. And I think it's really fun to find out about people's lives and what they've gone through. I want this podcast to be, do you know that moment when you are talking to someone and you're just being real and everyone has dropped the bullshit and you're just having an honest conversation? That's what I want this podcast to be, because we can learn a lot from each other's experiences, as we've probably gone through so many similar ones. And it's kind of comforting to know that someone else has gone through the same thing as you. That's why mindset is really so important. You continue to do what you love, even if it's not completely natural to you. If you love it that much, you will put in the effort and you will make it successful. And that is the point of this book by Dr. Carol Dweck, is just to keep doing it and keep committing to it. And you'll just see how if you approach things in that growth mindset without that ego attached to it, honestly, you'll just be probably a lot happier. You will be a lot more knowledgeable. And you won't have that anxiety when it comes to trying new things or talking on air or whatever your goal may be. A brain is a muscle just like any other in your body, and that's what really clicked for me. If you were to go to the gym for a full month straight and follow a regimen and a diet plan, would you see results? And the answer is clearly yes. And it's the exact same way with your brain and your mindset. The more you put yourself in situations, you just focus on learning something new rather than winning or failing, you will be amazed at how your life will change and your perspective will change. And I think that is the most important. It's really how you perceive the world and things happening to you. Because remember, you are in control of your own mindset. And that is the most important, because we all know we can't control the outside or what other people do, nor should we want to. And that is kind of the beauty of this whole change in mindset. So let's have this growth mindset going forward together. When you are ready to share your story, you can do so on both Twitter and Instagram at @thetwouldbe, that is all one word, or email us at thetwouldbepodcast@gmail.com. You can remain 100% anonymous, especially if you want to spill the tea on something really juicy. It's really up to your comfort level on how much you want to discuss. So until next time, little buzzlings.